What's up, guys? It's Matt Jackson and Clay Smith, and we are the Wash Bros. If you're tuning in today, it is the 4th of July weekend, Sunday. We are getting everything situated and wrapped up for the episode 22, which we think, appropriately enough, we should start thinking and positioning ourselves for winter, the slow season, and all that. This episode will kind of break down the first half of the year, and then now we're at that like halfway point. So we'll stress on certain things that we do to really position ourselves for the slower season, put some money in our pockets, and position ourselves correctly with marketing. So you want to kick this thing off, Clay?
I'm ready, man. This is my favorite topic. I've been talking about this all year, a whole season two. You have to make sure that you're ready for winter. I do it the beginning of the year. I'm always getting ready for winter time. Back when it starts getting busy, I'm always putting money behind. I'm always putting it back for that marketing that I may need during the winter. My bills in the winter to get me through Christmas, to make sure all my bills are paid right. And it's very important because a lot of guys, they just go through the year and then they're living paycheck to paycheck. They're not positioning themselves well enough to get through those cold months. And unfortunately, I see a lot of guys go out of business during that time. So take your percentage, look at January, February, and December ish. I know if you're in the colder northern months, it's easier for you to navigate, and you have a longer off season. So it's very crucial that you guys start making sure you're positioning yourselves before we are down here in the South, of course, because we may be actually out of work for maybe 2 weeks, but we're very slow for, I'd say, 8 to 10 weeks. So please make sure if you're listening, if you follow our podcast, you know that I've stressed enough into making sure that in the spring you're positioning yourself for winter, in the winter you're positioning yourself for spring, because in the winter during all downtime, you're going ahead and you're setting yourself up for that spring season. Can I send the postcards? Can I do anything better for my marketing? Can I update my website? Maybe if you're thinking about rebranding, it's a good time to do that. Maybe you need a truck wrap. Great time to upgrade equipment, rebuild your skids, rebuild your trailers, do a lot of maintenance on everything. But the biggest thing that I see guys struggle with is the financial part. So make sure that you got your numbers together. You know what you need. You know what it's costing you to feed your family. You know what it's costing you to feed your business, to stay afloat, and then just go off of that. And the biggest thing for me is I'm always trying to make sure I'm in no business debt because I don't want to get in trouble there.
That's all very accurate. And uh, to Clay's point, like it's very important to not get yourself, whether you're in business debt or personal debt or just spending what you're making in this season, like it's going to come in for the rest of the year because business is expensive, and if you don't plan for the slow seasons, you still have those cash flow problems, whether it be insurance pulling every quarter, whether it be ads that you're running in the wintertime to position yourself going forward. So like it's expensive, and you have to view business as an investment. You're not just saying, oh, I made this today. It's always a joke. I see these things online where guys are like, somebody making $100,000 a year, like they get to keep all their money, but some business owner making $100,000 a year, and at the end of the day, they got nothing left. And while that wasn't really accurate because it was like gross versus net, it still showcases like the importance of having a nest egg aside, because you really want to have, I know this is kind of hard to do if you're in a reinvestment phase of business, but you really want to have at least like 1 month of revenue tucked away that you can float on. So if you're doing $20,000 a month, make sure you have $20,000 tucked away for a slow season, kind of that rainy day fund, like at the minimum. And then as you grow, you're going to need more capital and more money. So it's like a business like mine and Clay's, you probably need like $50,000 or $60,000 to be able to like float yourself when times get tough, because not all the time you're going to have all this great positive cash flow. And it's one thing that I've learned, that's the first couple of years of scaling, was just it isn't the money I'm making in a month. It's like the timing of the money. So like all the bills hit at the same time, employees pay this time, and it's like, hey, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter about like what you're making at the end of the year if the timing of the money is off, and then you guys have cash flow problems. So one thing, if you're new, before you really go all in and like leverage yourself to debt, think about putting some money aside, and then think about keeping yourself protected and insulated for when times get tough, or for when the seasons change and you're not here sweating. Instead, you can kind of unplug and relax. So that's one of those pieces. I ripped off a band-aid and I ran lean for a while and it was not fun. Luckily I got myself out of it, but I mean, if I can save you guys a year or two of stress, I'd say, hey, kind of follow the path that Clay did, stack a ton of money aside, grow your brand, and then grow yourself where you're not having to like essentially spend a lot of money to make money. And there's at the end of the day, if you don't have that profitability, what are you even doing? So that was kind of
Right. Yeah, that's what we're in it for. We're in it to make money, right? So the biggest thing, if you're in the position where you want to kind of scale quickly, I would say taking a little bit on a little bit of debt. There's nothing wrong with it, but it's very crucial. It's very volatile. You got to know what you're doing. You can't just say, okay, I'm going to take on $50,000 in debt and hope for the best. You really got to have the knowledge in this industry or a industry period in any business that you're doing. If anybody's listening from a different sort of business that they do, um, that was one of the main things I did. I studied the business. I watched other people. Luckily, I had Matt to lean on. I watched the things that he went through, and I just worked extra hard. I was doing close to two truck numbers by myself, just working extra hard, working those extra days, working those extra hours. I was getting up at 6:30 in the morning and not getting home until dark at night during busy season. And I just did that. I did a lot of that this year, just right before I scaled and got my full time guy and all that mess. But just waking up that extra hour would help me get an extra two jobs a day in before dark. So just different little things. What are your goals? Sit down, write your goals. Where do I want to be personal as a person? Where do I want to be as a business owner? And where do I want to be as a business? And then just try to seek after those goals the best way that you can. And me and Matt, we're actually working on our mentor program. We're looking for some mentorees here soon, and be happy to sign any of you guys up. If you want one of us, you can have one of us. If you want both of us, you can have both of us. We see business at kind of the same point of view, but we're two different guys. We got two different I would say skills,
exactly.
and you get two perspectives.
And like Clay said, whatever you resonate with more, whatever phase of life you're in, and like me having just gotten married and living in a situation, I took that path of, oh, I'm just gonna like rip a band-aid off and then use some money, use some debt to grow and scale. And it was more of like stressful in the financial sense than say Clay, where you just like put your nose down, wake up when the sun comes up, and then you come home when the sun goes down, and then you're really grinding it out like that. So like there's different philosophies, different ways of doing things. We're pretty much at the same level now. Just the path that got us to where we are now is different. So whether it resonates more with you or how I do things or how Clay does things, like there's there's no one way to do it. It's what resonates best with you, what's natural to you, and what's conducive to your family life. We don't want you to say, "Oh, just put your head down and grind and work 14 hours a day and then come home and then work another 5 hours." And then you end up getting divorced or you end up like not being able to see your kids or you're missing out on life's moments. So, like Clay says too, not only are we here to build businesses, but we're also here to build ourselves up personally. And if you're not leveling up personally, you're never going to match and meet those business goals that you aspire to be. If you're trying to build a $100,000 a year business, but you've got the mentality of a $20 an hour employee, you're never going to be able to make that $100,000 a year business. Same thing as you scale into the 500,000 or the $1 million ranges. Like you got to level yourself up personally before you can get to that level, quote unquote, where you deserve it professionally. And then you're just naturally doing the same thing every day, kind of like Clay and I have talked about. We're just doing the boring stuff every single day. We're showing up. Some days are great, some days are not. In the end of the month, usually we're winning and we're doing better than we did the year previously. So it's the coaching thing that Clay and I have talked about is really cool, and it's almost like we've always talked about doing something like this, but with the podcast growing, we're getting requests. It's almost like, hey, when people are knocking at the door, you might want to just open the door and see who's there and see how we can help them.
And we don't want it to be more of like a coaching because everybody's getting into the coaching, business coaching. That is not something that we're trying to do. We want to just actually help you. We're not trying to sell you a product. We're just wanting to help. We want to help other people in the industry. We want to help them get to the stages that we're at because we do realize we're at a different level than most of your average washers with our business model. And we're kind of proof that our business model works. Me and Matt both do the same things. We're in the same market and we put up the same numbers. So there's proof in the pudding. We got the data to show it all. Um, and it's just not something that we're just trying to bluff and just talk a bunch of crap that GBT wrote up or anything like that. But I mean, this is true stuff. This is real numbers. These is real customers we're getting in front of, and we're in the same market, which makes it cooler.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
in other words, if you take our business model, we know that nobody else in your market is doing what we're doing, and it can make you just so much successful and so much money.
Yeah. And it's a simple model. You just pretty much lead with your marketing and your branding, lead with our hustle, and get that reputation built up. And Clay and I both like really quickly grown our reputation in the area, and that's the drop off point you see so many of these pressure washer guys do. Again, nothing wrong. If you want to be a technician, if you're doing this part time and you're listening to this to try to figure out how to wash a house and how to make $1,000 a day, fantastic. But if you're trying to build something bigger than yourself on a wand, it's going to require building that reputation. And that's where Clay and I have been able to like kind of penetrate into like a busy lockdown, like a really like saturated market with a lot of like top guys who are in our market technically. Like if you look at people in our local direct market, there's people who've been doing it for 30 years. There's people that are big time gurus that are at the conferences and all that stuff. And we're able to like really penetrate this with a short amount of time and get good reputation in the market and succeed and do well. So and we didn't just acquire another company. And a lot of times people, they grow, they double in size because they say, hey, I'm doing $200,000 a year in my business. I want to buy your business for another $200,000. And then poof, I just blew up. Now I have a $500,000 a year business, but we're organically growing our businesses. So it isn't like, oh, secure funding, buy somebody's business, and then therefore you double your business. Like we're essentially bootstrapping these as we go. And as we've been doing the Wash Bros podcast, like we've put a huge chunk out of the market just from showing up, doing the boring stuff, doing everything we talk about on this episode and the episodes in the past. So it is pretty cool to see how we're both able to grow, and it's like no telling how far we can take this thing.
Yeah, and even as far as businesses, I mean, the things that we talk about are the things that we actually do every day. It's just not something we found, like I said, off of Blueprint or ChatGPT or any of that mess. And I've actually helped a lot of you guys that are listening just off of basic stuff that I've told you. I had a guy reach out to me the other week, said he hit his first $1,000 day. That was right after we were talking about making $1,000 day. So, I mean, just this is it's cool the feedback we're getting, and definitely think the mentor program is going to be a huge hit, specifically for things that you don't think about, like for the off season, like we were just talking about just a few moments ago. The off season, it plays a huge role. I mean, it can make or break you. I mean, that's a sink or swim situation because when it's 20 degrees, you really cannot work outside. You got to know how to handle the customers when they're calling because a lot of people's brains don't work correctly. They don't think about, oh, you can't pressure wash in the cold. They're getting ready to list their home for sale. You got to know how to handle those situations. You got to know how to handle them if a bad storm comes up, how to do all the rescheduling, just small things that you don't think about. If your equipment messes up, how do I go about rescheduling these 4 or 5 jobs that I have for the next day? Just small things, knowing how to pay your bills, knowing how to manage cash flow. You can go chase a $30,000 job and spend a month doing it, but if you don't have any money coming in, what are you going to do, right? So just things that me and Matt know how to help with to make sure that you're successful, and things that we can tell you and help you with to prevent from the bad things happening.
No doubt. And to Clay's point, I'm going through a spell where residential kind of dips, and you have a lot of commercial work. Luckily, June we did a decent chunk of commercial work. I'd say I'm sitting on probably like $20,000 in accounts receivable, and cool. If you don't have that regular flow of residential work, and you've got your accounts receivable or how long it takes people to pay you, almost approaching like 30 days, like there's $20,000 or $30,000 that you have there sitting just waiting to be paid upon. I have to pay my employees every week. I have to pay myself to live. I have to pay my business expenses. So if you don't, like we were talking about, plan cash flow and if you don't know these things, you're just going to get stuck with a bill. And then what do you do? Do you put it on a credit card? Do you try to get a loan to float yourself? Like there's options to take, but sometimes like preparing yourselves and things that you should think of that you don't think about before you say, oh my gosh, once I make that $30,000 commercial job, like I'm set. Yeah, but what is the total cost of that job? And things that Clay and I had to figure out on our own, waiting, stressing, thinking about, oh man, like what's going on? Like it's not residential where you get paid same day. So there's a lot of nuances involved in things, or even just about like what insurance requirements for these things, or like an RFQ process. Like there's a lot of things that you have to know from being in the industry that you can't just watch a YouTube video on how to pressure wash and understand and know. And Clay and I both are like leveling up our business where we're getting more commercial work. I guess he's got some apartments that he's working on. I've got some commercial work that's really helped me out this year to maintain our business despite the dip in residential we've had. So things that like we pick up year after year that if you're a newbie here, it can save you 3 or 4 years of growth that Clay and I had to go through and personally learn through failure to get. So and again, like you can't ask Chat GPT something because like Chat GPT isn't us or isn't somebody in the space that has that insight and wisdom. Sure, you can ask a generic question or you can ask something on Google, but like the quality of the answer comes from the quality of the person answering it. So like you ask the guy doing 10K a month what his opinion on something is. It's probably not the same as somebody doing 50K a month. And that's the value add you get with being plugged in with the Wash Bros.
Absolutely, we've been through it all. I mean, I've been through it where my machines wouldn't work. I've been through it where we had cash flow issues. I mean, you name it. Dealt with a carrying. Had to paint a house because the paint had a bad reaction. I mean, that was $12,000 out of my pocket just because
Yeah, that was nuts.
paint had a bad reaction with the SH. I mean, you name it. I've been through it. I know Matt's been through it. He's had all the same issues. And eventually, you're gonna have that bad spell of things that are gonna happen, and you just have to work through it. And that's what makes you strong at the end of the day.
Exactly. Everybody gets into this thinking the limited mindset they had when they started, whether you're an employee somewhere or whether you're a dreamer or whether you're like an 18-year-old trying to do your first thing. Like there's so much more to entrepreneurship and there's so much more to business than just getting to a certain level. And that's a funny thing I see on these Facebook groups where people are like, oh, what do I need to do to get into this? What do I need to do to start? What do I need to do to find out how to hit like a $20,000 a month or like when I'm able to do this full time? I'm like, you got to be okay with showing up every single day and doing the stuff you don't want to do every single day and having horrible days where you're on the hook for everything and just being okay with moving forward. Like we said this on another podcast, I think, going to like everybody wants to do a big month, but can you do a big month every single month? And anybody can say, oh man, like we ran some Facebook ads, we got lucky, we just like put a ton of work on the schedule for this month, but we're not consistent with it. And the goal in business and making this legitimate, stepping outside of a day job, doing this full time is that consistency factor. And that comes with the mindset and that comes with an attitude change where you have to view the world differently. Because if you're still viewing the world kind of how a lot of these guys on Facebook view the world, maybe pessimistic, know it all, like I'm too good for the world. We always joke about like the pressure washing gods on there talking about they don't show up for less than $1,500 a job, or like you can tell by how these people talk that they're not doing this full time. And like it takes a certain type of person to be able to jump into this, be a business owner, and do this full time. And that's that value that I was talking about earlier. Like you have to build your personal value above your competition. So hey, your business rises, and then you're adding value to your community. So jobs come to you. And so many people they may be able to pressure wash, but they're not operating on the right mindset, not operating with the right business acumen. And I mean, like, frankly, they just have piss poor attitudes and they suck. So levels to the game. That's the point of that rant there. Like, sure, there's what level do you want to be at? Do you want to keep achieving, keep going for what you can do, kind of create your own financial freedom via pressure washing? Then listen along and follow the Wash Bros, because a lot of bad advice out there, and you don't want to be just following somebody astray into like $15,000 a month with a $30,000 a year skid that's financed, because those people are going to feel it in the wintertime when they don't have that work.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing that I see a lot of the gurus, they start selling the fancy stuff. They start showing off their fancy equipment. They start showing off their fancy cars. They start showing off fancy big jobs. They start showing off their fancy houses, their fancy vacations, and stuff like that. And I think that a lot of guys, they just get caught up in all that. And me and Matt have some nice fancy stuff, but we're not all flashing it all in the Facebook groups and flashing it all over our personal pages or anything like that. So that should show you that we truly care. I mean, we have a lot of nice fancy things that we can flash and show you guys, but we're actually here to help you with our businesses. We want to show you what we can do to help your business. And I think that's the most important thing of it all.
Exactly. We're not trying to sell you the dream here. We're living it. And what we're doing is telling you in order to live this dream, you have to show up every single day, whether you're at the level that we're at now. Like you don't see us taking our feet off the gas. We're over here talking every week about our pain points, how we're growing through growing through things and continuously leveling up. Like you don't hit a certain amount of revenue or a certain amount of profit and just say, okay, finally I hit that point. Like now it's over. That's the lie of this culture and the lie of like the Western world. It's like, oh, once I reach the destination, I'm good. Well, like the destination is the journey because like once you decide to be an entrepreneur, you decide to get into pressure washing, you decide to like be your own boss, you got to show up and do a lot of work. Like we've done almost 4,000 jobs since we started this in 2020. And that's a lot of work. And there's no end in sight because that's how I live and that's my job. So you better like it. You don't just say, "Oh man, that shiny object syndrome, that's great. Look at me. I can put CEO on my Facebook profile and I can be my own boss." Okay, well like there's a lot more that goes into this than just the title or I'm a pressure washing business. That is almost laughing stock. Like we look on our Facebook groups in the summertime in the spring and everybody's a pressure washer. You left your $20 an hour job, you start pressure washing with a 4 gallon a minute machine. What are you going to do when it gets cold? If you're not building your brand and reinvesting in your business and doing things professionally, as like we talk about on the Wash Bros, you're going to go right back to that $20 an hour a year job or $20 an hour job come cold season. And then you're going to be in this kind of trap hamster wheel. And the objective that we have is to get you guys out of that. You listen to the Wash Bros, you level up your mindset. We got a book out there, kind of breaks down like the 0 to 100K path. And like Clay says, with this mentorship program thing, we're not necessarily trying to just sell what you can chat GPT. We rather just be like, hey, do you want to be a case study for us? Like, do you want to see like what level you're at? Let's take you to this level. Let's see if you apply these things, you can get here. That to us is more interesting because we're more passionate about the craft and the business aspects of things than we are about look at me, look at me, look at the flashiness. Like Clay and I would both have better things to do on a Sunday evening than do the show if that was the case.
I agree with that 100%. The biggest fruit of the labor, though, the biggest flex, it's not any of the nice shit that I have, any of the nice stuff I have, but knowing that I can walk into December, January, and half of February and not have to work and not have to look at my phone, not have to answer my phone, not have to really do anything that pertains to business. I think that's the biggest flex that I have that I can actually call the, if I were to brag about anything, I think that would be the biggest flex that I actually have. Like I can go into December, even at this moment in July, I can go into December, January, and take on the off season, and not have to worry about work, not have to worry about my bills being paid or any of that mess. Like that is something that I have worked so hard on top of branding and reputation and working on quality of work and having good equipment. That is one of the main things I work on is making sure that I'm prepared for the off season.
Yep. And that's number one what it is because it's a system and you see year after year we've systemized it. So it's like, hey, you don't have to stress out. A lot of people right now, this is July. July is kind of a summer slump. We talked about that on our last episode. April, May, June, that's like bonkers. Everybody can be a pressure washing company there. Everybody's making money hand over fist. July, vacations happen. It's hot in the summer. Everybody already had their houses cleaned. And then August, back to school. People are a little bit slow to get back to it, and then the fall season kicks out. So again, like how we're looking forward and we're looking out there. What we're doing now, instead of stressing about July being July and knowing that, hey, there's going to be a dip below June, we're planning ahead for December. We're planning ahead for the wintertime. And by doing so, that allows us to have peace of mind, allows us to have ourselves taken care of financially. Put money aside for your bills. Know when you can and can't spend money to invest in your business. All these things besides just like, oh, why the leads are slowing down. Like, what do I do? Like we're thinking at such a different level and a deeper level than most of these people in this business who are just looking month to month, week to week. And like once you break out of that, you can start running it like a true business and you can get ahead of things. And then you can say, hey, I know every single year it's going to be about the same. And that's when it gets fun. That's when you can scale your business. That's when you can say, hey, I'm pulling a lot of profit out of my business. Or you just want to take a 3 week vacation. That's when you just take your vacation. So
Pretty much. I think we've about covered everything that we wanted to cover in this episode.
yep, that's a good one. I know Clay. We're probably going to double shoot one this week because he's going on a vacation coming up here.
Yeah,
So,
can't wait. Gonna head on to the pretty beautiful beaches of the Bahamas, and enjoy life for a couple of days. And obviously, my guy will be here running a truck, so we're not going to be really missing out on any money. That's another flex is knowing that your business is making money while you're away.
that's how you know you have a business and you don't have a job.
Exactly.
But yep, that's everything for me. I mean the general like to dos of everything everybody knows. Make sure to like and share the Wash Bros. It being summertime, if you're freaking out, stressed out over the 4th of July holidays, it takes a couple weeks. It'll get back to normal, and then you'll get back in the swing of things. If you if you want to get your mindset right, make sure to just listen to the Wash Bros. Go back, listen to a couple episodes, get yourself in gear again, get excited, and figure out some marketing. Figure out ways to stay busy. When everybody is stressed out and kind of retracting, maybe you should put some money into it. Maybe you should do what others are not doing. So there's plenty of ideas in our previous episodes of the Wash Bros as well as in our group. So make sure if you haven't joined the Wash Bros group, go to our Facebook page, join that group. We provide a lot of examples, and then, like Clay says, follow us individually, follow our businesses. Not saying directly copy, but if you guys want ideas, hey, model what we do because it works. Uh,
Absolutely. Just make sure you go and follow our pages, like Matt said, and we'll see you in the next one.
yep, I'm gonna drop this intro, and we'll see you guys next week.
Peace.
See ya.